Continuing on to Chapter 3, which is also included in Week 1 of our ethics class, is Chapter 3, which is Developing Effective Leaders to Meet 21st Century Healthcare Challenges. So one thing to remember, the American healthcare system is in critical conditioning with a tripling of cost over the past 2 decades, poor quality services, wasteful spending, and a rise in medical errors. So, the American healthcare system is in critical condition with the tripling of cost over the past 2 decades, poor quality services, wasteful spending, and a rise in medical costs. Remember the rise in medical costs. Americans' healthcare needs are increasing with a higher prevalence of overweight, obesity, chronic diseases, and mental health disorders. So the healthcare system is facing the most severe shortage of health professionals, including physicians and nurses it has ever encountered. The changing nature of morbidities in the United States, the current condition of the healthcare system, and the severe shortage of healthcare professionals call for transformational and innovative leaders who will develop new models of transdisciplinary care and interprofessional education. So on page 32, they talk about 21st century leadership challenges. So the one thing that we have to always take into consideration is always remember that leadership is not a solo act. It is embedded in relationships, effective communication, shared ownership, and coaching and motivating others. So, 21st, our challenges for the 21st century leadership is expectations for increased productivity within the budget constraints. We have to enhance teamwork. We need to find that balance between technology and interpersonal relationships to deliver the best care. On page 34, they talk about evidence-based practice. That it can be easily integrated into clinical and academic organizations. And studies have shown and supported that evidence-based practice enhances quality of care, improves patient outcome, and decreases healthcare cost. However, evidence-based practice is not the standard of practice in many healthcare organizations throughout the country. And I find that amazing because, that studies and, has shown that it does enhance the quality of care. It can improve those patient outcomes and decrease the healthcare costs, but it's not standard of practice in many healthcare organizations throughout the country. It's just kind of an interesting aspect. Planning for leadership succession and mentoring young nurse leaders. Succession planning is intended to create an internal leadership pipeline that identifies internal candidates to be promoted. Succession planning also can be a very positive experience for the up-and-coming leaders in organizations. And one of the critical aspects of effective succession planning is mentoring. And think about it, with succession planning, they require, if you identify internal candidates to be promoted, they require less time and effort to be oriented. But remember, we have to be mentors. Be mentors. Always remember in your career, always remember where you started. When you start working with a brand new nurse after you've been nursing for a few years, always remember where you started because you were that brand new nurse at one time too. So always take that into consideration of when how you felt when you first started nursing. Another challenge of leadership is communication. Effective communication among team members has been identified by IOM, or the Institute of Medicine, as one of the markers of safe and highly reliable care. Effective communication is a marker of safe and highly reliable care. And communication is not simply an exchange of information. Team communication is a complex social process. To work as a team, you have to communicate. So remember, communication is not simply an exchange of information. It is a complex social process in which each party involved in the process brings history, assumptions, and expectations to the interaction. So first, leaders have to be effective communicators themselves and role models for excellent communication skills in all settings. So first, leaders must be effective communicators themselves and role model excellent communication skills in all settings. Communication is the key. Communication is the utmost importance in nursing because you have to be able to communicate with your team members. And then embracing and supporting transdisciplinary healthcare. So on page 35, interprofessional collaboration, a key component of transdisciplinary care, has been demonstrated to improve patient care effectiveness for patients with chronic diseases and a higher degree of work satisfaction in healthcare workers. And then on page 36, positioning nursing to influence decision making in organizational and health policies. Nurses must be proactive in ensuring that nurse leaders have to be proactive in ensuring that nurses who are the best in representing certain topics are positioned at the organizational and health policy tables where those topics are being addressed. Promoting workplace wellness. Stress, burnout, and turnover continue to plague the nursing profession. It's particularly true for new graduates within the first year of employment. They have found that more nurses are, they found, let me start that over again. They have found that nurses have higher rates of smoking, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and depression than physicians do. So, how do we create cultures of innovation and change? And innovation is more than an idea. It is an idea that comes to fruition and sustains. Some leaders may say that innovation is important, but sometimes they don't model it themselves, nor do they provide opportunities to foster that innovation in others. So for change to be sustainable, It's not enough to simply create awareness about the change needed. To create a culture of innovation and change, leaders must acknowledge, embrace, and demonstrate engagement in innovation and change in their own leadership practices first. Because leaders who do not model innovation are barriers in creating and sustaining an innovative environment where positive change and outcomes continually occur. So, essential characteristics of effective leaders. This is on page 37. There are 13 characteristics of transformational and innovative leaders. We have vision and ability to inspire the team vision. Leaders, can set a vision, who can set a vision, guide others towards it, and acknowledge the progress and celebrate their success. Passion for patient care and making a difference. Ask, what is the best thing I can do for this patient? Transparency, honesty, integrity, trust. Transparency, honesty, and integrity are all critical elements for establishing trust, and trust is critical to a leader's success. Effective communication skills critical to the safety of patients and the wellness of the workplace. Effective communication includes verbal and nonverbal communication. Ability to lead, not micromanage. Micromanagement can be destructive. Managing people is a skill. Leading people is an act. Leader, you have teams, you work as a team. Remember, in nursing, you work as a team, not I-oriented. The leader's goal is for the team to be successful. And risk-taking, you have the ability to cope with uncertainty that comes with change. What is important to remember is titles do not produce effective leaders. Not all managers can be leaders, and not all leaders can be managers. And then also continuing on in that box of 3.2 on page 37, high level of execution. You want to not only focus on the outcome, but also pay attention to the process and people involved. Never work without an end in mind. Positive future orientation. Look at challenges as opportunities, not obstacles. Innovative and entrepreneurial spirit. Those who create a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship will reap the benefits of an organization that thrives through uncertain times and budget constraints. Dedication to coaching and mentoring. That is a hallmark of an effective leader. Find and grow what is good in others. Commitment to motivating and empowering others to act, encouraging the heart. It is a skill that effective leaders must possess. And passion and persistence through character building experiences. Passion is critical to avoid burnout. Persistence is deeply connected to passion in that what you are passionate about, you are likely to be persistent about. And like I said, transparency, honesty, and integrity, that is listed on page 38. And remember that transparency, honesty, and integrity are all critical elements for establishing trust. And for leaders, trust is critical to their success. And then, of course, just to reiterate, the importance of effective communication skills. And let's see, where now I am on page 41 under Models of Leadership for the 21st Century. Today's healthcare, our organizations are increasingly complex and filled with digital tools and resources, and the digital world has changed when we work, where work takes place, and the media for information transfer. So, it depends on, where we work, um, because of that electronic world, media, how information is documented, shared, and transmitted, time, open access, day or night. It it blurs your work personal times. And, things have changed over the years with the technology, like with just even using electronic medical healthcare records. Everything is done on computers. There's very few organizations that still do paper charting. But which is better? Which one is better over the other? It just depends on your point of view. But like I say, most healthcare organizations have went to electronic formats. And also on page 42, they talk about transactional instrumental leadership. That is the most common and well-known style that is used in healthcare. That one, they focus on task orientation, leader direction, the follower participation in the expectation of rewards, threats, or disciplinary action from the leader. So, and then they also have inspirational or transformational leadership. In transformational leadership model, the goals is recognized as processes of empowerment for both the leader and the follower. And with transformational leadership, leadership is the locus of the power that remains with the leader. That is a limitation of the transformational leadership, because with the transformational leadership, it begins to engage followers to self-actualize and contribute to the organization, and offers significant advantage over transactional leadership. However, the limitation of transformational leadership is a locus of power that remains with the leader. The leader is expected to begin the empowerment process to engage employees rather than employees being expected to lead from their position in the organization. And then we have complexity leadership model. This is a positional informal leaders fulfilling diverse functions. You don't require a formal title to lead. And this model recognizes healthcare organizations as networks of people, resources, knowledge, and other entities composed of overlapping informal boundaries. And also in this leadership, positional leaders carry authority focused on managing organizational dynamics and enabling informal initiatives rather than directing or mandating behaviors. And then they also have the Modal model, which is listed on page 45. And the trimodal model focuses on evidence-driven processes. And there are three vital work processes: the operation, which is to manage the present; the innovation is to look into the future. It also includes improving or eliminating current ineffective or poorly functioning processes. And then transformation, what is needed to sustain change and transform work processes. It requires time, reinforcement, and frequent course corrections to successfully embed in new practices. And on page 3, on page 42, table 3.1, characteristics of 3 leadership models. They have a little table there that talks about transactional, transformational, and complexity. The last one, like I talked about, was a trimodal model. And so you can read through all of those.